Welcome to our last part of this video series. In this part, we will have a look at the scenario comparison. So after we had a look at the economic results, we can click here on Summary and Scenarios. Then we can click on Scenario Comparison. And it will now say, okay, there's no other scenario right now. So if we want, we can duplicate the current scenario. And I will click on this. And then we will go back to the project page. And here on project number 1 that we just created, we find scenario number 2. And it's a copy of the previous scenario. And here we can change any parameter of the project. So we can change the network temperature, we can change the buildings, we can change the insulation thickness, so whatever we want. And in this case, I would like to show that we can, for example, disconnect these buildings here from the network. So these 3 buildings, if I click on disconnect from heat network, they would be not supplied via the network. And if I click on calculate district again, then it would say, okay, we need a decentral solution for these 3 buildings, decentralized supply, and it would install a decentral heat pump in the buildings. So if we go into this building and we have a look at the building energy system on the bottom, we see that the heat pump is now here active for this building, and the heat source is ambient air. So in this case, the building would be supplied with a decentral solution and is not connected to the network. So if we now go to the energy hub, we can of course also change parameters on the energy hub level. So if we say, for example, we want to have electric heater, an air source heat pump, and heat storage instead of the gas boiler, we can then click on Size Technologies and then get the new design results for the energy hub for scenario number 2. We see we have now here an electric heater with low full load hours and the air source heat pump that covers most of the heat demand. Then we click on Simulate System Operation again to obtain the detailed operation results for scenario number 2. And then we are able to go to the last page, to the summary page with these results. So go to result page, and there we can do the scenario comparison. And for this, I click here on the button scenario comparison. Then we can now choose another scenario, scenario number 1. Click on load scenario. And then we see a few diagrams here. So levelized cost of heat on the y-axis, CO2 emissions on the x-axis. Of course, we could also change the names of the scenarios. So scenario number 1 was a gas boiler, and scenario number 2 is the electric-only solution. If we go down, we find the tables with the detailed data. So for example, how much electricity we took from the electricity grid. The red numbers here indicates that the value is different to the other scenario. And gray values would say that the values did not change. So for example, the space heating demand in scenario number 1 and scenario number 2 is the same. But here in scenario number 2, we have now 3 buildings that are supplied with a decentral solution. So here in this case, air source heat pumps. So the amount of heat that we take from the network is here now smaller than in scenario number 1. If we go up, we also find the energy hub results in a direct comparison. So the installed capacity for PV, for example, and on the last tab, we find the economic results, the net present value over the years, as well as the investment costs and all the different cost shares in this table, and the economic KPIs. So for example, the levelized cost of heat in scenario number 2 compared to the levelized cost of heat in scenario number 1. We can export these results as an Excel sheet and yeah, go into the more details there if you want to, and yeah, analyze the results in more detail. You also get the economic results for scenario number 2 here in detail, as well as some details about the operation of the system. There's also some further important notes maybe. So for example, you can change the colors of the diagrams if you want to. So if you go up and you click on your name here, then you can change the color scheme and, for example, use the company colors. And then you can export the plots directly in the correct color scheme. And also, maybe I would like to mention this at the end. You can share the projects with other people who are registered for the software. So if you click here on the symbol here, then you can put the address, the email address of another user, and then share the project with each other. All right. I hope this video series about the district energy systems helped you a little bit to understand the software, how the workflow is in nPro. If there are open questions, feel free to comment below the video or write us an email. And then thank you very much for your attention and see you next time.